With tensions rising between the wealthy and powerful families in Genoa City, the young and the restless is not short of fierce confrontations. One of the most notable and closely watched confrontations is the complex relationship between Jack Abbott, Kyle Abbott, and Victor Newman. The battle not only takes place in the boardrooms of large companies but also intertwines with dramatic intrigue, betrayal, and hidden rivalries. Every step of these characters is marked by strategy and careful calculation, not only for power but also for family affection and honor. While Kyle and Jack are investigating Victor's moves and dark plots, they gradually realize that the fraud in the company is not only a personal matter but also related to the entire future of the Abbott family. But all their investigative efforts lead to more tense situations, as confrontations between factions continuously explode. Anyone who enters Genoa City knows the name Victor Newman. With an undeniable reputation and a wide influence, Victor has always been the one who controls everything. But this time, Victor not only wants to win the business war but also completely destroy his rivals, the Abbott family. He knows that Billy Abbott, Jack's son, has a potential new alliance with Aristotle Dumas. This is the opportunity that Victor cannot miss to set a perfect trap. Victor, who is always smart and meticulous in every step, has planned to use this alliance to lure Billy into a big trap. He will make Billy believe that a lucrative business deal is waiting for him, when in fact, it is just a trap to get information and control Billy. When Victor makes an offer, not only Billy but also Kyle and Jack will face unpredictable troubles. Kyle and Jack, the two heads of the Abbott family, did not sit still and began to investigate Victor's movements in the past. Ever since they learned that there was a spy in their company, they suspected that Matheson was just one of Victor's pawns. Things became even more ambiguous when unusual signs began to appear. "There must be someone else," Kyle said while looking through the documents collected from the internal investigations. "It's too easy for Victor to manipulate." Jack, with his extensive experience in dealing with emergency situations, glanced at the evidence in front of him and nodded. "Yes, we are facing a big wave. But this time, we will not be swept away by the wave, but we will master it." The father and son decided not to hesitate any longer. They had to face Victor and play this game with the same weapons he used. With the information they gathered, Jack and Kyle found a weakness in Victor's plan. It was time to plan a counterattack. To make Victor pay, Jack and Kyle did not hesitate to use Victor's spy. They learned that through secret contacts, Victor had deliberately sowed doubt within Jabot to control important decisions. But Jack and Kyle were not passive. They decided to turn the tables by using the spy against Victor himself. Victor's schemes would be exposed right in his own lair. Jack looked at Kyle and smiled slightly. "Let me take the lead. When Victor thinks he's in control of this game, that's when we control him." With their next move, Jack and Kyle prepared for a strategic attack on Victor's plans, while maintaining a strong front within the company. Everything seemed to change completely when Victor would have to face equally intelligent opponents. But if there's one thing Kyle and Jack know about Victor, it's that he never lets himself be beaten easily. No matter how much they think they've gained the upper hand, Victor always has a way to turn the tables and put things back in his favor. Jack and Kyle's plan seemed to be on the verge of victory, but one small mistake could send everything crashing down. It all starts when Victor fails to show up for an important meeting with Kyle and Jack as planned. Instead, a surprise announcement from Aristotle Dumas leaves them both bewildered. "Victor knows everything," Dumas says over the phone, his tone cold. "You can't beat him at this game." It all started when Victor failed to show up for an important meeting with Kyle and Jack as planned. Instead, a surprise announcement from Aristotle Dumas left them both bewildered. "Victor knows everything," Dumas said over the phone, his tone cold. "You can't beat him at this game." Once again, Victor proved his ingenuity and decisiveness. With a series of unexpected moves, he not only began to take control of the situation, but also put Jack and Kyle in a position they could not have imagined. Now, they not only had to face Victor, but also the scrutiny of the entire corporate world. It's not over yet. Jack and Kyle still have many tricks up their sleeves against Victor, but like a veteran Go player, Victor will always find a way to turn the tables. No matter how this battle plays out, one thing is certain, the Abbott family will have to continue to fight to maintain their power and honor. And for Victor, the battle will always be a never-ending battle of wits. In this battle, no one can predict who will be the ultimate winner. And will Jack and Kyle be able to keep their faith in their plans, or will they be caught up in Victor's schemes? All will be revealed as each character takes on the next pages of this fierce business war. In The Young and the Restless, power struggles are never easy. Each character faces great challenges, and important decisions will determine their fate in these tense situations. Victor, Jack and Kyle are all talented and determined characters, but will they be able to overcome Victor's clever schemes? Let's wait and see what happens next in this dramatic story. A city filled with intrigue, betrayal, and intense power struggles witnesses a complex confrontation between colleagues and former rivals. Audra, a smart and powerful woman, is in the middle of a dangerous situation. She not only has to deal with complicated personal relationships but also has to face the deep plots of Victor Newman, a man who knows how to control everything around him. In this battle, Audra tries to convince Nate Hastings to cooperate with Victor, but can she convince him that this time things will be different? Dramatic situation, Audra convinces Nate. Audra stands before Nate, her eyes full of determination, but also a hidden anxiety that she tries to hide. She needs Nate to trust her, needs him to join forces with Victor to carry out the plan she has outlined. However, Nate is not so easily fooled. He looks at Audra with skepticism. Audra bit her lip, trying to control her emotions. Every time she mentioned the past to Victor, she felt a stab of pain in her heart. But she knew that if she wanted to win this game, she had to keep a straight face, not show any weakness. But deep down, Audra knew she was lying. She couldn't reveal the whole trap she was setting for Kyle Abbott. Because if Nate knew the truth, he wouldn't cooperate. She couldn't let that happen. She needed everything to go according to plan. Climax Scene 1. Why Audra forms an alliance with Victor. While Audra tries to convince Nate, she is also facing a tension within herself. Although she knows that working with Victor will help her achieve a greater goal, she cannot help but think about what happened in the past. It is an indelible feeling, a wound in her heart that she struggles to overcome every time she mentions Victor. So why did Audra choose to follow this path? What motivated her to enter this alliance, knowing the risks? The answer lies in a trap that Victor has set. Audra cannot simply ignore this opportunity, because this may be the last time she can control everything. She can become the winner in this game, and everything will be decided by her. However, in Victor's calculating world, Audra cannot help but feel insecure. She knew that at any moment, things could turn around. And it was understandable that Nate didn't trust Victor. Audra needed to convince Nate that she was in control, that she was the one in control. Although Audra convinces Nate that she has everything under control, she cannot reveal the trap she is about to set for Kyle Abbott. Kyle has always been a powerful opponent, and removing him from the game is a key part of Victor's plan. Audra cannot let Kyle stand. She knows that if Kyle continues to run Jabot, everything will fall apart. She needs to break the link between Kyle and Jack Abbott, and at the same time, give Victor back control. So, in the shadows, Audra has arranged everything so that Kyle cannot find out. She knows that if Kyle is aware of the plan, he will not hesitate to rebel and make a mess of things. And in the world of big companies, one small mistake can cause the entire empire to collapse. However, plans never go as planned. Kyle and Jack Abbott are investigating Victor and uncover important clues. When they start to see signs of trouble, they don't hesitate to launch an investigation. And then, they start to realize the tricks that Audra is doing in the dark. As Kyle and Jack continue to investigate, they discover important evidence related to the cooperation between Audra and Victor. This makes things more tense. Kyle knows that Audra is not someone he can easily trust. But now, he is faced with an undeniable truth: Audra has a plot of her own. Tensions increase when Kyle and Jack decide to confront Audra and Victor directly. The war between the families has reached a climax, with each side having its own advantages and calculations. This confrontation is not only a battle of power but also a battle of trust, betrayal, and dark secrets. The outcome of this confrontation is unpredictable. Audra, despite her best efforts to control the situation, will eventually have to face the consequences of her actions. She has created a trap, but will it be able to keep Kyle and Jack at bay? Or will other secrets be revealed, causing all her plans to collapse? Tense situations, complex plots will continue to take the characters and the audience on a journey full of surprises, when each decision can completely change the course of this power struggle. Genoa City once again witnessed a tense confrontation, where the powerful families were all involved in strategic plots, and each character had their own reasons to confront each other. Among them, the relationship between Jack Abbott and Diane Jenkins became the focus, when they discovered that Victor Newman's hatred for the Abbott family was not simply a business rivalry. It was also a sinister revenge, with dangerous plots always lurking. Victor spent months building the perfect revenge plan to weaken the Abbott family, and Jack, the head of the Abbott family, was his main target. For Victor, Jack was indirectly responsible for Nikki Newman's near death, after a serious fall she suffered. This created a deep emotional wound in Victor's heart, and he was determined to use every means to make Jack and his family pay. But in situations where all hope seems lost, a surprising truth emerges: the relationship between Jack and Diane, whom Victor considers his main enemies, may be the key to turning the tables. Jack and Diane must not only face Victor's schemes, but also protect the love and unity of the Abbott family. Victor, with his meticulous revenge plan, has been constantly pushing sophisticated attacks on the Abbott family. Although he cannot directly attack Jack, the head of the Abbott family, Victor has used Jack's past relationships and weaknesses to exert pressure. He believes that if he can make Jack feel lost and helpless, he will be able to destroy the Abbott family once and for all. Victor knows very well that the relationship between Jack and Diane has always been a problem that Jack has had to face. This relationship has been tested and rejected many times, but with his perseverance, Jack and Diane have overcome all difficulties. However, Victor knows that nothing can hurt Jack more than hurting the woman he loves. Therefore, Victor decides to intensify his attack on Diane, aiming to weaken the Abbott family's power from within. "Jack, you can't protect your woman for long," Victor said sarcastically as he entered Jack's office. "And when she falls, you will realize that nothing can save the Abbott family." Jack, although knowing that Victor has always been a scheming person, cannot help but feel worried. He has ignored too many times, but this time, Diane is not the only one dragged into this dangerous game. Amidst all this intrigue, Jack's son Kyle Abbott becomes aware that his family is in great danger. After a rift with his parents, Kyle has finally healed his broken heart and found unity in his family. This reconciliation is not only important for the Abbott family, but also a turning point in the fight against Victor. Kyle realizes that Victor has always tried to take advantage of every opportunity to divide the Abbott family, and this time, he cannot let that happen. He decides that he will do everything to protect his family, even if it means confronting the man he once respected. This unity is the Abbott family's strength, but also its weakness that Victor seeks to exploit. While Kyle seeks to protect his family, Victor constantly seeks to drive a wedge between him and Claire, whom Kyle loves. But a bigger threat is coming from the other side. Audra, a powerful and shrewd woman, has been lured by Victor with promises of change and power. Knowing that Audra feels wronged by Kyle's dismissal from Glissade, Victor decides to use this to drive a wedge between Kyle and the Abbott family. Audra, hurt and greedy, is slowly falling into Victor's trap. Audra, despite knowing she's playing a dangerous game, decides to go through with this plan. She will do anything to make Kyle believe that she wants to have a relationship with him. This will distract Kyle and make him vulnerable to Victor's schemes, causing the Abbott family to lose the stability they worked so hard to rebuild. When Kyle begins to notice Audra's strange actions, he can't help but be suspicious. Although he doesn't want to confront her, Kyle knows that if she doesn't stop in time, she could cause harm to his family. Kyle's relationship with Audra becomes strained as she keeps dropping vague hints of a private feeling that she thinks Kyle might reciprocate. In the world of Genoa City's powerful families, the confrontation between Jack Abbott and Victor Newman is not an ordinary battle between two opponents. It is a battle of wits, a relentless struggle between men of ambition and determination. Although Jack has been defeated in many battles, loyal fans of the Abbott family always know that Jack never gives up. And this time, he is determined not to let Victor, who always considers himself the strongest, defeat him again. Their latest confrontation is not just about money or power in business, but also a deep struggle about self-esteem and family affection. Jack has witnessed the changes in the Abbott family, the relationships threatened and the inevitable battles. But he always knows how to stand firm in the face of the greatest challenges. Although Jack has failed many times against Victor, this time, he feels a little bit like victory. Jack knew that Victor would never stop thinking he was the strongest, but he did something no one expected. Jack secretly bought back shares of Glissade, a company that Victor had just sold for a low price. This, to many, may have been a small move, but to Jack, it was a strategic counterattack. Business insiders couldn't help but be surprised when Jack revealed that he had bought back shares of Glissade at a low price. This was an important chess piece that Jack could use to turn the tide of this war. While Victor was optimistic about the fall of the Abbott family and believed that Jabot was doomed, Jack was looking to use this situation to put Victor in a weak position. When Jack shared this new move with his family and friends, he could feel the admiration in their eyes. "This is our chance," Jack told his son Kyle as they looked at the Glissade file. "Victor may think we're going to lose, but I'm going to prove him wrong." Although Jack may have felt a temporary victory, Victor was not one to be taken lightly. With his overconfidence and arrogant attitude, Victor always believed that every fight would eventually be his. He viewed Jack as a weak opponent, someone who could not overcome the influence of Newman Enterprises, and especially the downfall of Jabot, the company Jack headed. Victor, with a cold gaze, had been watching the Abbott family's every move. To him, Jack's acquisition of Glissade was just a first step, and he believed that Jack could do nothing more. "He just thinks he's won," Victor told Michael Baldwin, his legal advisor, in a closed-door meeting. "But I will make Jack pay for his arrogance." Victor believes that no one can stand against the power of Newman Enterprises for long, and Jack is no exception. In particular, Victor has a deep hatred for Jack, not only because of their business relationship but also because of their family differences. Jack has always had a loving father, John Abbott, whom Victor sees as a model of kindness and fairness. Victor, on the other hand, has not had that from his father, Albert Newman, a rude and ambitious man. John was a great father, but Albert was not, Victor thinks to himself. This hatred is not only a family matter, but also the basis for the confrontation between the two families. When Victor looks at Jack, he sees the strength that he lacks, and that is something he cannot forgive. Victor was always one step ahead in every battle with Jack. Even though Jack was using the Glissade, Victor still had a winning mentality, and did not hesitate to make further moves to weaken the Abbott family. He knew that Jack would not be able to maintain this victory for long, and had prepared contingency plans. "It's not over yet," Victor said in a meeting with one of his allies. "I have predicted every move Jack will make, and I have a plan for the next one." Victor sensed Jack's complacency and was one step ahead in using information that Jack could not predict. Victor believed that Jack would not be able to maintain his strength for long, and when things went wrong, the Abbott family would face inevitable collapse. The confrontation between Jack and Victor was inevitable. The tactics used by both sides made every situation tense and unpredictable. Jack knew that if he didn't act quickly, Victor would use every means at his disposal to destroy the Abbott family once again. "We can't let Victor win this time," Jack told Kyle as they sat down in a closed-door meeting. "It's up to us, and we have to take this opportunity to take back what we've lost." But Jack also knew that it wouldn't be easy. Victor was never one to be beaten, and with his confidence, he would stop at nothing to make Jack and the Abbotts fail. The confrontation between Jack and Victor would not stop here. Although Jack could feel victory in his grasp, his victory was far from certain. Victor always had a way to turn the tide, and the battle would continue. The tension between the Abbott and Newman families had never been worse, and Jack knew that this time, things would not be easy. Every decision, every move they make will determine the fate of the Abbott family, and whether they can maintain their power, only time will tell. But one thing is certain, this war will have no absolute winners, and both Jack and Victor will have to pay the price for their decisions in this game of power.